Catch up on entertainment news with Extra weekday afternoons at 4:30 on 10 NBC.
Rochester has a large Hispanic population, and the highlight for them is the annual Puerto Rican Festival held at the Civic Center Plaza downtown each summer. The Census Bureau reports that the Hispanic population is the fastest growing ethnic group in the United States, and now at more than 30 million people, Hispanics have overtaken the African American population as the largest minority in the U.S. Today, a look at that development through the eyes of Rochester's local Hispanic leaders. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ray Lovato. Later in the program, we're going to hear from Nancy Padilla, former city school board member and council member, and also Pedro Minero, who is president of the Puerto Rican Youth Development and Resource Center. With me now first, though, is Gladys Santiago, who is a vice president, senior vice president at the Ibero-American Action League and city councilwoman, and also Julio Vasquez, who's president of Ibero. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
To me, your faces are very familiar because you've been in the community for many years, and Gladys being on city council. And Julio, you've been here many years too. Before we talk about this whole thing about Hispanic, the Hispanic population in the U.S. growing to be such a large number, tell us a little something about yourselves, where you grew up, and where you went to school, and how you got to Rochester.
Well, I was born in Guayama, Puerto Rico. I came here at the age of 13. My father migrated to the whole northeastern United States to work on the farms, and one day he decided to stay in Rochester. I'm the oldest of 13. I came here. I did not know the language, and at that time, because if you did not know the language, the city school district didn't have any sense of what to do, because they didn't have any bilingual program, they didn't have bilingual staffing or anything. So they usually classify you as a slow learner. So I went to high school on a special ed program.
And what year would this have been now?
This was back in early 60s. In fact, I came in 1959, and I went to school late 59. It was December 20th. And I went to school obviously in January in 1960.
And things have certainly changed. Gladys, tell us something about, you were born in New York City.
Certainly, I was born and raised in New York City. My parents came over, they were first generation, to improve their quality of life. But I used to come and visit Rochester because my parents divorced and my dad married a local gal. So I used to come the summers. I couldn't stand it, but I used to come, because it was kind of lonely here. But I knew that when I grew up, I wanted to raise my children in Rochester. Then you got to kind of grew on me, and it grew on my parents, and my mom moved here. But I knew that I loved Rochester, and I was going to move here and raise my children whenever I got married. Didn't know it was sooner than later. So,
well, I'm told that Rochester's Hispanic population, which is predominantly Puerto Rico roots,
Puerto Rican,
is the largest in the state outside of New York City. Is that true?
That's correct. There are about 50,000 of us in the area. I'm talking about the large area, the metropolitan area, not just Rochester. But it's one of the fastest growing population in the city.
According to the Census Bureau, the number of Hispanics who vote is up from census to census. The Hispanic population in the United States is now more than 30 million. And the U.S. businesses owned by Hispanics have now topped 1 million. So we see this kind of joining the melting pot thing the way other ethnic groups have over the years. How is it in Rochester? Julio, you wrote a piece to the local newspaper recently saying that the Hispanic population has formed relationships with the other groups.
I was trying to make a couple points with that essay. First of all is that we always bonded with other groups in the city. that because of who we are a mixed race people. I mean, the main character of the Puerto Rican is African, European, white, and Indian. And we always felt good who we are. And also we have people from all over the world that came to Puerto Rico and spiced this too. So we always felt very comfortable who we are. And when we came to this country, we were able to easily reach out to other groups, that this is not a new thing as the paper tried to make it. I mean, we always been trying to reach to other people, and that's evidenced by the fact that we have a lot of interracial marriages. The other point that I wanted to make indirectly with that piece was that the race issue is very complicated for us, because we can't look at it from black and white as usually is looked at in this community. We are a mixed people, and if I can be talking, I mean, I could be light skinned, but my mother could be black, or my grandmother could be black, or my father or grandfather could be black. So it's very difficult. It's a little more complicated for us when we talk about race relation and race issue in our community.
Gladys?
Well, I have to agree with Julio, and I have to tell you, in my political life, let me take it from that, I don't have any difficulties in bonding or gyrating from one ethnicity, African American, to Puerto Riqueña, and to others. I feel very fortunate in that sense, because it has helped me. Now, as far as the numbers go in the increase, I tell you, it's our time now to get more involved in the political aspect, to get our, what I call the younger adults interested in the politics of the city and wanting to join, and also our parties to reach out to the Latino community in a sensible, cohesive way where it is enticing to us and wanting to run and have the leadership. Because I'm not going to, grow old in this, and I want to see some folks behind me going along.
Well, when we come back, we'll ask, is it Hispanic or Latino?
Are you considering laser eye surgery? Unsure what procedure is right for you? Worried about cost? Break through all the blur at LASIK-MD. Professional, personal. LASIK proves that all laser surgeries are not equal. Dr. Andrew Taylor has performed over 22,000 LASIK procedures and is board certified in the U.S. and Canada. Using the world's leading technology from Bausch & Lomb, LASIK-MD is the most advanced and proven laser eye correction. And the cost? From $375 per eye. Open up to a whole new world at LASIK-MD.
Gemlinks International Diamond Brokers are selling certified diamonds at or below wholesale prices. As part of this special promotion offered to the public, you can now save over 50% off standard retail store prices. Along with your special diamond purchase, your diamond comes with an official certification and limited lifetime warranty. Gemlinks International has over 20 years experience and are located right in the Bausch & Lomb World Headquarters building. Call David Turner today for a free quote on any size or shape diamond. 546-1670.
Hi friends, Mike Ogneveen here at Mike Ogneveen Ford in Batavia, the unbeatable dealer. When you're thinking of purchasing a new Ford vehicle, you gotta take that ride to Mike Ogneveen Ford. Any 2003 Ford F-150 on our lot, take $500 below factory invoice. Or 2003 Ford Focuses, $300 below factory invoice. Or any 2003 Expedition or Excursion, $700 below factory invoice. Give us that call at 343-1004. We'll see you right here.
Back with Julio Vasquez, president of the Ibero-American Action League, Gladys Santiago, his senior vice president, who is also a city councilwoman. We're talking about the Hispanic population in the United States, which is now the largest minority group in the U.S., and also here in Rochester, predominantly from Puerto Rican descent, but there are Hispanics from other countries, other parts of the world. And this question came up in the newsroom when we were preparing for the show. Is it Latino or Hispanic, or are they interchangeable?
Well, we use it interchangeably. Although we probably, if you ask most of the Hispanics, they prefer to be called Latinos. The reason for that, I think, is because the Hispanic noun was chosen for us by the federal government. It was not chosen for us. Secondly, if you refer to Latinos, obviously, when you're in Latin America or Caribbean, you refer to yourself as Latino Americano, Latin America.
Yes.
Of course, when you ask someone specifically where you're from, then of course you prefer to call yourself where you came from. For example, in our case, Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, exactly.
Or Cuban or Santo Domingo. We differentiate ourselves when we are asked who you are.
And I can identify with that because I know my own heritage being Italian. There are many people from Sicily, who prefer to be, they're from Sicily, not Italy.
Exactly.
Right.
So
I think it's important to note also that Puerto Ricanos are U.S. citizens, because I'm asked this all the time, and we have the ability and flexibility to travel, from South America to Puerto Rico, wherever we need to go, without passports, though it's safer to carry your passport. But it's something that, we're very proud of. It's traveling, being U.S. citizens. We fight in your wars and go every foot of the way in defending the United States. Y somos puertorriqueños, so I don't differentiate with the Hispanic, Latino. Now they even add New Yorican.
Now that's a good point to make, because a lot of people feel that Puerto Ricans are foreigners in this country. That's not true. We migrate from Puerto Rico here, just like you could migrate from here to California, and you have the right as a citizen, because we are citizens from birth.
Puerto Rican families, many Hispanic families, have a tradition, like many ethnic groups, of having a close-knit family with an emphasis on family and education.
That's right.
Is that still the case?
Absolutely, absolutely. We first of all, we are family oriented. And in our family, we not only refer to our family as mom and dad and brothers and sisters and forth. We're talking about the whole extended family. So when we talk about family, when I talk about my family being the United Nations, I'm talking about all my cousins, and we have them from all over the place.
Certainly do.
And that's important to us. Education has always been very important to us, and we continue to push for that. Unfortunately, a lot of our kids are dropping out of high school, which is a challenge that we have to deal with, and that we demand from the city school district and the leaders of education to do something about that. But it is our challenge.
Gladys, education is the key in America. It doesn't matter who you are, really.
That's right. And we pursue and strive for that through the agency and through our work in the community and through City Council, taking a larger interest. And what the scenario is at the city, but I'll tell you, things do change. We still are holding on to family. We're seeing an increased number of senior citizens now, nuestros abuelos, our grandparents, another generation, people just full of history that we need to bank on, because they can educate our younger folks. And I don't have siblings, I'm an only child, so the whole community is my concern and my love, and I tell you, I do it with pride, and it's relentless, but there we continue here.
Well, we thank you both for being with us today. It's been very delightful and enlightening. And we have two of your colleagues, I would say, coming up. And when we come back, we'll talk to Nancy Padilla and Pedro Minero. Stay with us.
Mothers should know that smoking around their children is dangerous. Jenny smokes every day. She doesn't realize how harmful its effects are. She doesn't know that cigarette smoke can cause infants to develop asthma or even die. Even if she did know, there's nothing Jenny could do to stop smoking, because she's only 6 months old. Jenny smokes because her mother smokes. Don't smoke around your children. If you know someone who does, let them know how you feel about secondhand smoke.
Do you really want to visit a dozen different dealers looking for your next new car? Save time and money with just one stop at John Holtz Honda.
At John Holtz Honda, we've got more cars right here on our lot and in the showroom.
And that's another reason why John Holtz is Rochester's #1 Honda dealer.
Right now, lease this Civic LX for only $185 a month. With more than 200 in stock, we're sure to have the car that's right for you.
Put away your roadmap, we'll point you in the right direction.
To John Holtz Honda, 3925 West Henrietta Road.
Join in the Mardi Gras celebration at the fun spot in the Thousand Islands, the River Edge Resort in Alex Bay.
Along with 2 nights accommodation, enjoy the Friday night New Orleans style buffet, souvenir champagne, twin magicians, tarot card readings, wine tasting, a Cajun cooking demonstration, candlelight dinner followed by an outrageous costume party, and more.
Canadian funds at par on this package.
Call early to reserve your Mardi Gras fun time package at the River Edge Resort.
Your year-round destination overlooking the majestic St. Lawrence.
Call 1-800-ENJOY-US today.
The River Edge Resort in Alexandria Bay, New York.
We're talking now with former school board member and former city councilwoman Nancy Padilla and Pedro Minero. Pedro is president of the board of the Puerto Rican Youth Development and Resource Center. Nancy is executive director there. And Pedro, you are also, is it acting administrator with the tutoring services for the city of Rochester?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, let's start out asking you the same question we did our other guests. Tell us something about yourself, where you were born, and in your case, how you got to Rochester.
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico in a small town called Salinas, a very famous little town, and very warm place. I joined the U.S. Army back in 1958, and I was in the Army for a few years, and when I left the Army, a couple of my siblings had come to Rochester, and I was back in the island, and I said, you know, where should I go? Should I stay here? Should I go? And I decided to visit Rochester, and here I am.
You went to school here? Went to college
I went
here?
to college, yeah. I went to high school back in Puerto Rico, in Luis Muñoz Rivera High School, and now I went to U of R here in Brockport.
And what did you study at the U of R in Brockport?
Well, I'm actually a political science, history, and history, and then education at Brockport. So.
Yes. And Nancy, you were born in Rochester.
Yes, I was. I'm one of 10 children. 4 were born in Puerto Rico. I was the first of 6 born in the city of Rochester. I attended and graduated from Madison High School, attended Monroe Community College, graduated from Empire State College, and have been a lifelong resident of Rochester.
You've seen it also from, I understand, that your mom and dad had a small store on the west side growing up, and then you rose to become a school board member for 8 years, city councilwoman for 4. You've seen it from the the neighborhood aspect and also from the bigger perspective like Gladys has as a city councilwoman.
Well, we've had many opportunities to work with people. Once being an elected official, obviously you're involved in a lot of debate and discussions on public policy issues that are relevant to our community. And so I would say that I'm fortunate that I've had that opportunity. And right now I'm focusing on the Puerto Rican Youth Development and Resource Center. Our youth, as you know, make up a large portion of our population. And as the Hispanic Latino population continues to grow, I would think that we want to make more emphasis on providing whatever appropriate services and resources are needed by the youth, children and youth in our community. So I've been there at PRYD since 1995, and it's been really exciting. We've developed some new initiatives. We're working in collaboration with the city school district and area colleges, have developed a computer lab, some new programming.
You have a leadership conference, I think, that's coming up in March.
Yes, an upcoming conference in March, a leadership conference, and recently we were granted a small grant to have our 2nd annual HIV conference because it's an area, obviously, that impacts our community as well. So our staff is very committed. They work very hard, and working with youth, you have that firsthand experience and watching them and getting a sense of where they're coming from, their struggles and issues that are relevant to them.
Let me ask you both, is it tougher for kids today with this whole pop culture and drugs and that kind of thing?
Well, it probably is in some ways. I would say because of peer pressure and all those things, kids many times they do not want to do the things that we felt were the right things, such as going to school and getting an education and getting ahead. And there's temptations, of course, the things that are going on the streets. And sometimes the parents are unable to really influence them the way that, you know, they could be because they're more influenced by those pop culture things that are there.
Our parents, when they said something, we pretty much followed what they said, I think. I'm not sure that's true in the current generation, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that still exists. There are still strong family structures in place, and but the youth are facing many, many more pressures than we probably did growing up. It's a whole different environment. They're exposed to a lot more information and all kinds of communication tools that are available to them.
What do you tell kids? I'm going to say Puerto Rican teenagers, or teenagers that have Puerto Rican roots in Rochester or other Hispanics. What do you tell them if you get the feeling like they're not interested in school and they're maybe going down the wrong path?
Well, first of all, PRYD is an agency. We work with all Hispanic youth. Any individual that comes into the agency is served. But our focus is on building their assets, building the strengths that they have as young adults, focusing on their interests, whether it be math, technology, language, culture, because we think it's very important that they graduate from high school and go on to college. So the message is very profound in that we understand you are struggling, but you could go beyond that. You could overcome those barriers. We have to visualize, you have to visualize yourself as succeeding. And so our focus is on outcomes and success, and we try to keep that very clear so that we don't get stuck in the realm of failure.
Yes.
And not overcoming the barriers that they have as young adults. But there's no question they are struggling.
And any young person could benefit from that. It doesn't matter who you are, from what culture. Seeing yourself succeeding, seeing you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you want to be?
Well, you know, I may want to talk about a little bit about that question, because one of the things that we do have a lot, and just four here today, is we have a lot of role models. Maybe not enough, but we do have a lot. And some, you know, like the kids that come to my, where I work, and they look at me and they say, oh, you know, he's the man in charge, or, you know, he's this, and they don't know my background. They don't know that I came just like from a poor family of 12 myself, and that I had to really struggle to get what I am. And a lot of people say, well, you don't get too far. Well, to me, I got pretty far. But you know,
I would say so, yes.
I don't think they understand that, and I think we perhaps need to say more of those things and say, look, you look at me and see what you see. Do you want to be like me, or you want to not? And so, it's, you know.
And it does take a little effort, or maybe more than a little effort, and that's hard for kids to understand today, because if everything's out there for them, it seems like.
Definitely, and oftentimes we hear people saying there are no role models, and I don't think that's true. I think that historically, the Latino Hispanic population has always been a leader in developing new programs, different or better services, in providing leadership in various capacities, whether it's education or city hall or the county legislature, or even historical leadership in helping to fight in the civil rights arena. We have some excellent models in our community that have worked very hard historically as a community. We're over 53 years old, and there's a very rich history. Most of the organizations that began evolved as a result of the grassroots level and involvement of people in our community. And I think that people kind of forget that sometimes, that there is a rich history, and role models are not just people with credentials. You know, an average person could be a role model. You know, people kind of assume, you know, you have to have 10 degrees, you're considered, well, we have degrees, but we're still, many people, you know, are role models. So the issue should not be tied to just credentials. You could be the best photographer in the world and be a high school graduate.
We have to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about one thing I'd like to find out about affordable housing in Rochester. It is here.
is a difference between being injured and being injured at work.
If you've been hurt on the job, you need to see your doctor, you need to tell your employer that you were hurt at work, and you need to call an attorney who knows the workers' compensation law.
At Connors & Ferris, we are workers' comp attorneys. Call for this free brochure and learn how to protect yourself and your family.
Connors & Ferris, committed to serving Rochester's injured workers. Call 262-COMP today.
At Genesee Ford Truck, there's a difference between buying the vehicle you love and loving the vehicle you bought. As Rochester's only Blue Oval certified dealer, our brand of service exceeds customer expectations. Convenient hours to fit your schedule, an extensive inventory of genuine Ford and Motorcraft parts, and all our technicians are Ford certified, many with 20 years of experience. At Genesee Ford Truck, service is not just a slogan, it's our reputation. Come and see us at 1280 Jefferson Road.
Take a pleasant ride to Papa Joe's restaurant in Sodus Point. Treat yourself to some great casual dining at Papa Joe's. Now open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week, year-round. Let Papa Joe's chefs and staff prepare a special delight for your appetite. Hosts Don and Judy Buchwald are now taking reservations for your private parties. Papa Joe's, the place to go. Papa Joe's Restaurant, downtown Sodus Point. Phone 483-6372.
In California have the highest numbers of Hispanic population, and in California a lot of people can't afford housing. At least in Rochester, housing is affordable.
Yes, it is, and nationally we're speaking about 35 million Hispanics in this nation. Locally we are not the majority. However, we still have to focus on trying to have access to housing and programs that are available to help our people become first-time home buyers.
And that's very important. They're a stakeholder in their community more. We have less than a minute. Any final thoughts?
Well, let me go back to that question. I believe that more and more Hispanics are buying properties, especially here in the Rochester area, and moving. Some of us moving out to the suburbs, and you know, it's a different thing than it used to be 40 years ago when I came here. So.
It's the part of the American dream, I think, is to where you want to live.
Yes.
And you're very positive about the future.
Oh, definitely. We have to be, because our children and youth make up a large portion of our families and communities, and we have to focus on their potential and what we need to do as adults to make it happen for them, and the support that we must give.
Well, thank you very much. Wish we had more time. Nancy Padilla and Pedro Minero, and my thanks to our earlier guests. I'm Ray Lovato. That's it for this week for Rochester in Focus.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.